Hey,
Hello.
you all right, mate?
Yeah, you?
Oh, living the dream, as they say.
Yeah.
If I seem distracted, by the way, it's because I'm fixing things at the same time.
Okay.
Um, so, technical problems, and I'm waiting for a customer service interaction with somebody to help me through it because I don't know how to do it.
You don't know?
No.
You don't know something that's interesting.
Hey, I can admit when I don't know my way around what it is. Up there here now. So how is your work going? How's training? How's memorization? How's relaxing? How's everything else?
Other than relaxing, it's going good. Yeah.
Good, good. How come relaxing is a struggle?
Uh, my mind refuses to sleep when I want to and doesn't wake up when I want to. So,
How, how do you know it doesn't wake up when you want to? Because that implies you're asleep already.
no. So, like, I wake up for like 10 seconds and then I'm
Right,
like, I need to get out of this bed. But then I'm like,
right.
no. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What stops you from doing it? Or is it just a no? Is it or is there anything specific or
I think I just want to dream. I want to
it's
see
fair?
dream. Yeah. I
It's
don't
fair.
know why, but
It's just one of those things, mate, It's clearly the dream has more of an appeal than reality.
that's the thing. Yeah.
I mean, you know how to solve it. It just requires doing it, mate. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's a cool t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It was a gift from Maddie for Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah, I've just done my ice bath. So I'm feeling
Oh,
pretty good. Yeah, ice bath, cold shower, the whole shebang. It's good training. It's good
yeah.
training.
Yeah.
It's good training.
So
Can't
what do you
recommend them
usually
highly
do?
enough.
Yeah. What do you usually do when you take a cold shower or when you're on the ice bath?
Well, it depends. It depends on whether it's raining or not. Mostly, not that I shower outside. A shower is just a shower. But when I'm in the ice bath, if it's dry, I'll put my speaker on, and I will do a language or listen to a book or a podcast or something. Um, Practice my breath holds by doing the breath holds underwater. You know,
Mm, nice.
the way it's how familiar are you with the startle flinch response?
Flinch. Not that much.
So it's akin to the shock of the cold hitting you for the first time. You go, and
Hmm.
all kind of critique and access to information just goes out the window. Um, so it is a way to almost forced practiced control, right? And do not get me wrong, it is nothing that has been written about. It is, I'm sure other people have thought about it, but I'm basically stressing my body, stressing my mind, and seeing how well I can cope with doing something technical or cognitive or intellectually based under the stress. That's all it is.
Hmm.
Um, so that when the stressful situation happens, in reality, whatever that might be, I'm more equipped to react with conscious interaction and cognitive critique than I am to just react. You know,
Hmm.
but the only thing that you can't train for is in that particular situation is specificity. If somebody jumped out from a dark alley and threatened to fight me, I'm going to react because it's a different evolutionary response. But so that's the main breakdown. That's the main like when I went for an ice bath the other day, I was saying to Maddie, I really didn't want to do it. So I was tired. like it's I've done colder, it was a perfectly comfortable day, there wasn't anything of that, but I really couldn't be bothered. And
All
it
right.
was, yeah, it was that part of the control, that part of the drive of kind of overcoming that. So the more I build those kind of practices into my day to day, the easier it is to kind of just make changes.
Hmm. It's like, what do I control?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That's what it is.
There's also a
Absolutely.
question like, do you react or do you respond to make a difference?
I think that is a personal interpretation, because I would say technically they mean the same thing, but there are those that would say reactions are too slow. But then I would say a response isn't as thought through. Because it's just a response.
Hmm.
Um, One second, mate.
Not a problem.
Um, but that's the whole connection back to the stress for me. Is I'm trying to make sure that my journey to a place of being stressed out is longer than the average person. So like when
Hmm.
I am tired, I'm not stressed or bothered. I'm just tired. Or when I'm having a particularly tense day, or I've got a lot on, or whatever. I'm just having a tense day, or I've just got a lot on. There's no stress that comes along with it, and it's those practiced points of control that genuinely help me with that. You know, that's why I always say to Maddie, I always say to those who I've known for years, if I ever tell you I'm stressed, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I might be tense, I might be angry, I might be pissed off. That's nothing to do with stress, though, for me. That's just a momentary emotional reaction that will dwindle. The more I think
Hmm.
about it, it will pass. Like Aurelia says, this too shall pass. But
Yeah.
but stress for me, it continues, it grows, it changes, and it eats away and provides nothing productive. So that's that's why I like the ice bath. Yeah, I mean, yes, there are all of those other benefits for, mental health, blood flow, weight loss, all that stuff. Fine. I don't especially care about that, right? If that's what you want to do an ice bath for, you do it. I don't
Hmm.
care. I would more prefer to introduce it for the temporary stress that I can put myself in. You know. Hey,
Yeah.
dinner.
Hey,
How's it going, mate? You well?
I'm doing all right so far. How are you doing?
Good, good. Can't
Good.
complain. Me and Sai, we're just talking ice baths.
I did some of those for a while there, but I never did maintain the habit.
Like I was just saying, like my mate Liam as well. He's done cold therapy off and on for years. He hates it. Like he hates it. He never found a part of it in his routine. He never enjoyed doing it. There are people that enjoy doing it. There are people that only do it because it's like a social media kind of thing.
Mhm.
I don't really care about any of that. I like to be cold more than I like to be hot. That's really all there is to it for me.
Yeah, I'll do
No?
a cold shower if it's in the middle of summer out here, and it's like it's been 150 degrees for a while. I'm gonna get in a cold shower real quick so I don't melt.
Yeah, you live in the middle of the desert or something like that, don't you?
hmm
Yeah.
I live in the northern part of New Mexico, so it's not quite as deserty, but it's still
Gotcha.
pretty hot.
Still pretty deserty
Mhm.
compared to the barren industrial wasteland that is the UK. It's pretty deserty.
Yeah, you've seen the video I sent you of the
I've,
walk around the neighborhood. That's about the level of desert I'm in.
okay, I mean that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's
I
not too bad.
no, well, the average beach is pretty deserty compared to the UK, though. In case I seem distracted as well, then I'm on to customer services for help with a tech issue with my website. Um,
That's all right.
custom segment. I mean, you guys can still talk, you know, quietly.
We are just trying to make you stressful, but I
Ah,
think that's hard.
Uh, try to think of the thing to talk about.
what are you memorizing at the minute, or is it still the kanji?
I'm doing a big review on the kanji right now. I'm trying to wrap up the review stuff for like right before I go in for my eye surgery, so that I'm not trying to squint at blurry kanji. Is this right? While I'm recovering
When is that?
from the whole
Your
thing. It's
operation?
July,
Oh, okay.
so
Right,
it's
right.
a little bit out there, but I mean, I have so many kanji in the backlog of my review system at this point that it's probably, I'll be wrapping it up probably right around the correct time for that. And if not, then I can always memorize some other stuff in the meantime. I was also doing a look at more of the spoken Japanese stuff, memorizing some of the grammar and that kind of a thing. Because that'll be more useful to me if it does end up that I end up partially or fully blind. It's not a huge probability that that's the case, but still be good to
Gotcha.
prepare for the worst. And then, if I still maintain my vision, then the grammar will still be useful. So it's not like I'm going all in on the whole being blind thing.
Most assuredly will, mate. You most assuredly will.
But yeah, I am also doing a sociology class and a science class in college right now.
How's that going?
I have a sinking suspicion that my sociology teacher is ChatGPT. I don't think she's read a single thing I've written, and I don't think a single response I've received from her came from a real person.
What makes you think that?
Just the responses and the speed of it as well. That's kind of suspicious. The fact that she actually has a thing on there for she like bought hall pass or whatever for
Hmm.
everyone to be allowed to use a specific um, generative AI thing in her classes, and so it's like already integrated. So I just would not be surprised. And it's literally like the day she's allowed to have the grades submitted, they're submitted. And so the question becomes: is she like just really efficient? Does she have a TA working for her that's great, helping grade all of these assignments before the end of the week is even up? Even sometimes when I've submitted like the day before on the due date, and then the next day it's graded. Or is she running it through a chat bot real quick, saying, "Hey, ChatGPT, does this assignment fit these rubric criteria?" And then ChatGPT is like, "Yeah, good." And then she's like, "All right, cool, A, go take your grade," while she's working 12 other jobs as a teacher. I don't know, but
I
I'm
mean,
really leaning that direction.
it sounds like that would be a what's the best word? A fruitful investigation.
Yeah, I mean, apparently other people have also been mad at Southern New Hampshire University in particular because they suspect teachers of that. So that's also part, in the back of my head, I'm like, they're doing that sometimes
Interesting.
in my
Interesting.
school.
So, what I mean, there are AI plagiarizers that you can use to check for um, how much percentage likeliness this has been used by Chat GPT or any of the other ones. Um, might be worthwhile running one or two of her emails through that. But I mean, as we go into next month of RLS as well, it's statement analysis. So that will help your studies as well in that area. It will help.
Yeah, and
It
it'll
will
also help
give you
just
the
in
feedback.
general because basically everything I work with over the college is through statements. They don't do like videos of themselves for doing the lecture or anything like that. I felt for quite a while that I've been my own teacher and that my teachers have been grade dispensers ever since I've gone into college, really, because of the way they do it on the online school in this place. All of
Uh,
the coursework material is already done by teachers long past. Like none of my teachers actually made any of the course materials that they're using. They're just running the course. So basically all they do is they sit there and answer questions and they spit out a grade. And I'm not even convinced that my sociology teacher is doing that much. Like
well,
I'd
that
have learned
sucks.
nothing if I didn't have the techniques that you've taught me over how to use memory techniques properly and all of that.
Well, I mean, I'll take that as good feedback for my stuff, but that sucks about you. That's I mean that sucks about your college, though, dude. I'm sorry. Um, I mean, do I mean a fair question might be, and this is only out of duty for fairness, not whether the people deserve it or not. Um, are the teachers professors that rushed off their feet that Chat GPT would be a requirement, to kind of help them get through their workload without being snowed under, or is it just laziness?
Well, it's just the one teacher has the Chat GPT thing that she got for the class. And so it's definitely a chosen thing by her. The other
Gotcha.
classes, even the one that I'm currently in, don't have that feature.
Right.
And in fact, the class that I took just before that, I know that he was a real guy that was actually responding to people because some of his announcements even were bemoaning that people were using so much Chat GPT in his class. I might have been the only one submitting a real assignment to him because I'm a stubborn old man about that kind of thing. I refuse to touch it.
You and me both, mate. You and me both. Although now I've discovered, what do they call it? Like image creation and image prompts and that type of thing. So finding infographics have been easier because I can just put the details in and it will make me an infographic.
I think for
Awesome.
infographics and stuff like that, it might really have a genuine use case because you already have the idea of what you want it to look like in your head and you already have the information. You just want to
Mm.
not have to fuss around with the software to make it work properly. And it's certainly more professional than what I'd probably end up doing, which is drawing it on a piece of paper and showing the camera.
Hey, I would prefer that personally myself, but I don't very often get to choose other people's professional standards, so I kind of default to I'll create an image for it. right? There's been a few times like I've asked for this kind of infographic creation, and it's just been objectively wrong.
Mhm.
I've just been like, do you even are you can you even understand the words that I am typing? Yes, you are right to point out that mistake. I will fix it now, and then just does the same thing again.
I mean, to be fair to the AI, no, it doesn't understand the words that you're typing. It codes because I looked into it a little bit, so I have some idea, but I'm no
Okay.
expert. But from what I understand, it doesn't even actually see the words that you're typing. It codes all of the words to like a number system. And it uses that number system to cross-reference against the number system generated by all of the data that it's used in its training data, and it runs statistical analyses to figure out what the most likely patterns of information are going to appear next. And so that's why it's oftentimes produces things that sound legit but are complete bullshit. Because that's the kind of patterns of words that it would expect
Yeah.
for whatever the prompt is to follow. So when the people typed in their legal information to ChatGPT, like proper lawyers did this, and it spit out like citations and legal precedences and whatnot, and they submitted it to the judge, and the judge was like, "These cases are made up. What the fuck is going on here?" That's why it's just going off of what seems like a reasonable pattern based on the training data that it's been given. It doesn't have any experience or qualia about what an apple is, or even that apples are a thing that exists. It just
Yeah.
is able to recognize patterns of words that follow the word apple in this context. And that's
Mm.
all it's capable of at this stage. There's
Yeah.
going to have to be a huge breakthrough development in AI that changes the paradigm of AI development entirely for it to be able to understand semantic reasoning. Like there's a few ideas that they have kicking around right now as like reasoning tokens, but from what I can tell, it doesn't really properly do reasoning as per like logical reasoning. It's like makes the thing slightly more efficient, but it's not proper reasoning yet at all. So they're going to have to completely change the way that they're going about this if they want to reach anything like artificial general
Yeah.
intelligence or even basic reasoning abilities.
It won't happen. It will just be a sharpened algorithmic learning. Like I'm not concerned about AIs taking over. And like, did you see that story? It doesn't mean I can't be wrong, but did you see that story about uh, uh, somebody telling some AI service they were going to turn it off, and the AI service trying to blackmail the individual by threatening to reveal information about their affair?
I mean,
And
if the
you're like,
AI
okay,
was truly intelligent, it would know that whoever that guy was had no power to do that, and it would have not worried about it at all, really.
but that's kind of my point. Like they were the whole spin was it's suggesting that the service felt threatened, and you're like, that could just as easily be a programmable response, or a piece of data that they found online.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has all of the AIs totally going to blackmail us into not turning it off content that's been posted about AI, and probably just drawing from that. Like, oh, humans expect AIs, and I'm anthropomorphizing it more than it's worth, but humans expect the AIs are going to not want to be turned off. And so, therefore, the most likely expected response for this, considering humans have only been writing about AI rather than AI writing about advocating for itself or whatever. And so all it's drawing on there is human expectations for what an AI is going to say in that kind of a situation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's where
I
I'm at with
mean,
it. The whole thing is a bubble. That's part of
yeah,
why I didn't touch it. At some point, the bubble will pop, and there will still be AI. Like it's not going to completely go away or anything like that.
no,
But
it's not.
like it's what was the CEO of OpenAI mentioned that people were costing the business thousands of dollars because they were saying please and
Yeah.
thank you in their responses, just like in the electricity alone to run the program. That's not efficient. That's not sustainable. It's being propped up by investors right now. There's no way that it's making enough money based on the fees that it's being given to run the program for it to actually be turning a profit at this stage. And it keeps trying to make the programs bigger, which means more expensive and more electricity to run. They aren't figuring out how to make it more efficient, really. And so I don't see how it's ever going to be sustainably used at the scale it's being used right now. Maybe for some select businesses who are willing to pay a very large amount of money that have real legitimate use cases for generalized artificial the AI that we have right now, scanning documents or something like that very quickly, doing tasks that take humans a very long time that AI can do very quickly, where the quality is assured by the human who's then double checking the AI's work, and it's just used to speed up that process. Something along those lines, AI will probably find a legitimate use case for where it can turn a profit, but it's not going to be this world-changing, earth-shattering thing. It's just the newest version of Uber, where everyone was running around, oh, Uber's going to completely destroy and turn all these things. It's just the newest one of those tech bros running around making a mess until the investments dry up. That's all it is.
And I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
And unfortunately, I'm a bit frustrated because I think it'll probably, it'll have done enough damage to the reputation of intellectuals during that time that my degree will mean less because I happened to get it when AI was running around causing problems and causing people to offload all of their cognitive abilities to a robot. And so people will probably look at my degree and be like, well, that doesn't say anything about you as a person. That just means that you were able to type into a chatbot. And I'm like, I was the only one there doing it right, though. So I mean, luckily I'll have you to be able to point to and be like, no, go talk to Ben. He knows that I'm not just some lazy piece of shit. He trained me. So I feel like I'm going to get a lot more credibility out of having worked with you than I will out of having a degree in college. Which, to be fair, I feel like you deserve more credit than the universities anyway. So,
hey, I'll take that, mate. I'll take that. I'll take that. Before my ego completely topples me over, here's a memory challenge that I set to a few guys earlier this week. You guys might take to it quite quickly because they are, by comparison, quite inexperienced with memory methods. So I thought it would be an abstract practice. Flags. What is the system or a system you would use to memorize flags?
country flags or
yeah, like this is the Stars and Stripes, the Union Jack. I'm not saying you have to go full on vexillology, but the knowledge of what flag belongs to what country.
I might go overboard with it and turn every country into a character that has like a superhero type character that has the color scheme of the flag as their costume, just because I'm a big nerd. And if I was going to be interested in doing something like this, it would be for the purpose of, like, say, in conjunction with the country's board that I already have. That'd probably be the easiest one right there. Just pin the image of each flag to the country board right there. But yeah, as an integrative mnemonic device to be able to then encode more information about each of the countries. So, I'd have an image of the Indian superhero with the Indian flag for his color scheme, and I would have associated information about whatever I needed to know about India at the time, or was just curious to know. And then I would do so for each of these on the country board that I already have. And then I would have probably a song that also encodes information about each country using that. So that's probably how I'd go about that.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Um, 1 second, mate. 1 second. I've just got some customer service emails back. Uh, I'm still listening though. Saeed, how about you?
Yeah, I have two ideas. One, I will turn the colors to numbers. For example, red is 0, blue is 1. And then I will use major system so that I could remember the colors of the flags. And I would connect them to countries by the specific, like for example, British tea, Turkey kebab, for example. I will connect them together. Or I could use superheroes, like there are Indian Spider-Man, Canadian Spider-Man, British Spider-Man. I could use them for connections.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I mean, you could almost do the hex code for the actual specific color then, since we already have codes for all of the colors.
It's
And then
possible.
you would know the exact precise hue of it as well.
Yeah. But maybe it could be more complicated compared to major system.
Well, you still use the major system for that. You just use the number for the so like
What about the abstract flags, like I don't know, the Vatican? Uh,
I need to check.
well, what I mean is, it's still technically a country. It has its own flag. It's
Okay.
yellow and white with the cross keys on. Um, but in terms of how that would split the difference, there are something like 183, 193, something like that, different countries. Um, I mean, I'm only going through Europe at the minute, so those are the ones that I haven't memorized the rest. I've had no need to yet. Um,
Mhm.
but even so, with the European ones, there's quite a need for nuance.
You mean like same colors but different shapes? Like colors like
Oh
the
no, no.
letter.
So like if you're using major system attachments and superheroes, which of
Okay.
course I'm not averse to, um, would that mean that you would need all individual superheroes? Because there is there is an option for blurring of data between Indian Spider-Man and Canadian Spider-Man, and I feel like you'd have more of a requirement for specificity with the British tea and the connection there, or if we could find like 180 odd different superheroes, that would also work. You know, it's the reusing of certain characteristics that uh,
I mean,
concerns me.
for me,
so what I was referring to was like these right
Yeah, yeah,
here. I
the
don't know
hex
if you
code.
can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, you would just you would have 5733. You would turn into the with the major system, and then you would have probably the for the F portion of it, like Anthony Metzive talks about with the double letter characters, where you just use their initials or the first two letters of the person's name to have that. And then you've got 2 or 3 images for each of the colors. It's not hugely efficient, but it's very precise. So it depends on your goal for that. But that would potentially be a number encoding system that would
Yeah.
be transferable
Would
right there, especially for programmers. Being able to just
would
type in the hex code for the number that they want right then
yeah.
might have some
Would
utility.
would that work for the flags that are made up of the exact same colors but in different ways, like Belgium and Germany, Holland and France?
I think it would get too complicated to be of any practical use, but you could probably do it by having a Brunonian field mind palace structure where you have the images in different zones on the fields, and then you have a central image that tells you what the country name is, if you wanted to have it in this very abstract sense.
And
Nice.
I think I will imagine the characters laying down or standing up based on the flag, you know.
Gotcha. Okay. I like it.
I think probably for most flags, it'd be more efficient to just um, vivify the image that's already there and connect it to the
Yeah.
country. So having an image for each country, and then they're just holding the flag because it's already a very visually striking image, anyways.
Mm.
And so I think that you could get there pretty easily with just, especially if you have already a country's board, like what I've got here. You have each of the countries then also given a character. The character is doing something with regards to the flag and the sequence, and then you have a structure that allows you to do proper reviewing of it, and then you just quiz yourself by drawing the flag that's associated with each one of these, and then you check it against whatever reference document you have, and you probably get it pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, I like that. So, like, here's the example. So that's the German flag,
Okay.
and that's the Belgian one. So, I mean, they're side by side in that image. One is horizontal, and the other is vertical. So, like, the changing of that practical use in the images might be a good starting point. All of it so far. I mean, this is all hypothetical. I mean, because we wouldn't really know its effectiveness until we started. I think that's fair to say. But this kind of spitballing ideas is I like this. It is it's a good creativity moment.
Yeah.
It might also be fruitful to, with at least some of them. I don't know how much they cross over, but I have a feeling that kanji would cross over to that pretty well as well. You would look at the distinct images and patterns that come up in flags, because like some of them, for example, have like the lion and whatnot. You would just
Yeah, yeah.
create an image for each of those, and then you would compose a composite image of the of each of the elements of that. So you would have an image for black, maybe black noir from
The boys.
the boys, or some whatever comes to mind first. That would be the one I would use, obviously. And then you would
Right.
just have him riding on the shoulders of whatever your character image for red is, and he's stepping on whoever the image for black is, and you would put an image there that reminds you that's, what was it, Belgium? It's the vertical one.
Yeah.
And then you would have a different image of those three same characters doing something side by side in the image that you create for the Germany one. Maybe they're in the line for the gas chambers. That's a terrible joke. I shouldn't have said that.
Wow. Well, that won't be in. We'll cut that out.
Yeah, just go ahead and cut that out, but it would be memorable.
I mean, it would be. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It would be. I mean, like the exploration of them, I found from a semiotic perspective quite interesting. When you look at the flag for England, I mean, to a certain extent on the Union Jack as well for the UK, but the flag for England has the St George's cross on, the red cross, which is St George. It's the same makeup of the cross that's on the flag for Georgia. As well. So there's these interesting little crossovers that remind me of language learning and congates in that particular structure as well. So it's interesting the way that these things tend to be connected or can be connected.
Yeah, they're almost
So
pictographs in their own way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they function similarly in that, or rather can function similarly to memory anchors. The attached emotional salience. if you attach, I mean, because the first thing that George and the Dragon, that story reminds me of the story that Stephen Ring told in Rush Hour 2 about at the Dragon Casino, and like so the Georgie's flag is always connected to dragons and Chris Tucker for me.
My name is you. Do you remember the scene?
It was Rush Hour 3. That was Rush Hour
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
But still great scene. It's like a Chinese version of the Abbott and Costello sketch. Who's on first? I love that. I love that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
It's just old nonsense, and I love it. I absolutely love it. There was a meme that popped up, God, a good few years ago, with the caption, "They did it. It finally happened." There was a Chinese baseball player. I don't know what team. And to be honest, I don't even know if it was a real picture. Could have been doctored for all I know. But it was a real baseball setting, and it was this Chinese guy with a back to us. He's on first base, and the name is Hu, who was on first. They did it. It's finally happened. Love it. But that's those emotional salient points are a quality. There is a magic almost to a good meme for memory standpoints. To hook the specific pieces of information onto. They are good ways of thinking about data. I've found.
Yeah.
you know, uh, because I can only speak for myself. I'm sure you guys will have your own versions. If a meme has made me laugh, I don't care if I saw it once 20 years ago or once the other day. It's still just as clear in my head. Maybe the context of me seeing it is a little different, but it's still pretty bob on.
Mhm.
Yeah, a few memes have made it into my mind palaces over the years, for sure.
Be rude not to. Be rude not to. Like
So,
I think the ones that I've got are that little girl that burns down the house where she's just sat at the front of the image, and there was one that I think was a GIF, but was made into a meme or a GIF. I don't know anymore what they changed the pronunciation to, but it was a shot of a lad from the audience at Britain's Got Talent, and it was just doing that like this big mouth open shock face, and it was their dude must have been a snake in a previous life or something, because he definitely dislocated his jaw to get his mouth that wide.
I also have quite a few bits from Community in my mind palaces as
Nice.
well.
Nice.
Community, you mean this TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick Offerman pops up a lot in mine. But strictly for things like the vegan bacon. you know, as Ron Swanson, obviously, from
Mhm.
Parks and Rec. But yeah, Parks and Rec, Community, even yeah, I nearly said Fear and Loathing. It's Always Sunny. Those types of odd one-liners are always good memory hooks, memory anchors to connect to. I
I
mean, just to pull it back to, I started off with the whole learning how to do Rubik's Cube blindfolded by using the patterns, like how it would pop up as like little mini flags. So I would remember patterns on each individual side as mini flags, and it was easier to solve that way. Um, I have to solve this now. I shouldn't have messed it up.
uh, yeah, speaking of Ron Swanson, he's actually in one of my kanji mind palaces specifically for the vegan bacon day. I believe it's the prefix that roughly means semi. Uh, because it actually has like an old bird component to it, like a turkey. So it's like vegan turkey bacon, which I imagine Ron would hate even more.
It's just that. Would you like a piece of vegan turkey bacon? Yes, thank you.
Can I have
Thank
another
you.
one?
Thank you. May I have another? Right back in the van. Quality. Brilliant, Joe. I love it. I love it.
I have two questions.
Fire away. Let's do it.
So first one is tomorrow I'm gonna work in a cruise ship.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people from United States, England, France. So I'm gonna work for 12 hours and I need to be, aware of everything because there are sometimes fights, hostility. Hostility is the right word?
Yeah, you would say there will be hostility,
Uh-huh.
or you could say there will be hostile situations.
Okay. Okay. So I need to be open for like 12 hours and I need to memorize names, faces. Do you have any advice or because I never
Sure.
been to this big events?
Do you, for the work that you do there, do you get any kind of like onboarding packages? Do you get any layouts of the area, or do you have to kind of learn where you're going first while you're there?
I will no, they will teach us like this place is for dinner, this place is for cocktails.
So are you allowed to get there before it all starts?
Yeah.
Okay. So take 30 minutes or so. Just have a walk around.
Hmm.
No, no, specifically, no pressure on this. Don't be thinking this is here, this is connected to here, this is whatever it is. Just walk around. Like an outstanding principle of fire exit, of this connects to an area, or I go through here for the restaurant or whatever it is. Just as you would if you were on the ship as a passenger, right?
Hmm.
Just on the ship as you would a passenger. And then the quickest route that I've found to using names. I mean, the systems are always better, but the quickest route is using the name. Yeah, not in a Dale Carnegie kind of way, because that's also the quickest way to piss people off. But it's just using it, right? So if you meet someone, it's having these little quirky comeback lines of like if we met, we go, hi, what's your name? You go, oh, Said. Said? Interesting. How do you spell that? I've never met a Said before. Right? Who
Hmm.
cares? They're showing interest, and it makes the name a little bit more explicit. Just engage with the data, technicolor style, and on you go. You don't have to be going, oh, so Said, Said, what are you doing on this board, Said? Said, what floor are you staying on, Said? That's the Carnegie approach, and that's just because everyone loves to hear the sound of their own name. Not if it's being said 33 times a sentence. No,
Yeah.
right? Just
Because
just
then it
make
loses all meaning.
exactly. It becomes I'm going to make a real life version of the comedian fella whose name's just dropped from my head completely. Um, but anyway, use the name just as a little anachronism. Like I always like when you meet a woman, hi, what's your name? Oh, my name's Maddie. Wow, that's my middle name. It's nonsense. It's a stupid little throwaway line, and
Yeah.
most people get the you'll get the eye roll, dad joke kind of reaction. I don't care. I'm only interested in remembering the name. Um, the only trade off in that situation is if you have one or two lines that you just repeat, because then they all blur together.
Hmm.
And if it is that you're taking in too many names all at once, it is the foresight to take a breather. Right? It's the same as anything. You have to watch out for cognitive overload.
Hmm.
Um, so those would be the easiest ways. to get to grips with it. And especially if you walk past and like you see them at a distance, or you have chance for another interaction, just go for it. Like even if it was like I saw you across the other side of the mess deck, and about, all right, Steve, you go outside. Oh, excuse me. On you go. Just make it a genuine, a genuine thing.
Hmm.
I mean, if there's British people and Americans and French people, you always have the option of falling back on apologies. It's the language barrier.
Yeah.
Like just to give yourself the room to breathe. But there's nothing better than taking the opportunity to use it specifically for English people. We default as part of our interactions to, "Hey mate, all right dude, all right pal, all right chief, all right governor, how's and all of those kind of playful words, which are great for interactions because that's just the way colloquial English works. But if it is that you're looking to default to memorize a lot of names, it's terrible. So you can just go, all right, Said, and on you go. Or if I see you walking and I don't see anybody else's name that I mention, I'll think to myself, oh, there goes Said. There's just another opportunity for me to use it. That's it. I'm just
Yeah.
consolidating the journey. All we're doing is we are relying on those 3 points from the TED Talk, is repetition, retrieval, and emotional salience.
Yeah.
That's it. When you combine repetition with salience, it's not just rote memory of just doing it over and over and over again, Carnegie style. It is the creation of a connection. In the same sense that I would bet that once you learnt your mum's name, you never had to try. What was your name again? There is an implied connection there. There's a lot of emotional salience that pulls the information together. Um, so the only real challenge is just making it conversational. That's it.
Hmm.
Just making it conversational and just having, if you'll forgive me, the balls to make the name a little bit more explicit, because it's not something that most people are comfortable with. That's why names are considered almost globally difficult to remember, because nobody makes them explicit.
Hmm.
You think, oh yes, lovely, nice to meet you. Move on you go, get in there. Yeah, let's get them all on board into their cabins. On we go. You know. But if you just take a
I
little
heard.
beat,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 go for it. I mean, I could have kept on talking, but that was it. If you just take a little beat to make it more explicit, that's it. On you go.
Yeah, I heard that it's a bit easier for people of other cultures to remember certain other cultures to be able to remember each other's names because they are more explicitly referencing something. Like Chinese names will oftentimes have something to do with nature or whatever. And Native American names, they're sort of almost notorious for being something like squatting bull and stuff like that. And so
Yeah,
it's like you can just picture that already. You don't even need
yeah.
to create an image for it necessarily. Whereas we don't really know what John references. Some guy in the Middle East, I guess. It
I mean,
doesn't really have the same level of connection anymore because we get our
exactly.
names so many degrees removed from the culture of any language that we actually speak.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where a lot of traditional sort of name techniques fall down for me. You can think of a famous John, or a famous thing that starts with it. Great. Then I'm just thinking of the famous thing. Well, you connect it to their eyebrows, and great. Well, I'm thinking about their eyebrows, and by that time they've gone. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I've never got
it,
that to work properly for me.
nor me, nor me. If you have the time, and the conversation or the situation allows for it, by all means, put the effort in, put the work in. Um, but like, I mean, even if it is, I don't know. if you meet a guy with a slightly long dark hair and a beard, and his name is John, John Wick, it's a stupid little throwaway line. It's nonsense, and the guy's going to probably think you don't have a sense of humor, right? But the only thing I'm interested in at that point is remembering his name. That's it. And if that's the vehicle I have to go through to use it, perfect. Because when he comes up to me later and I go, "What can I do for you, John?" I'm telling you, the connection there is unreal. They've forgotten the stupid joke that you made earlier. You just remembered their name. That's the killer.
Unless you remind them by saying, John Wick, what do you want?
Well, then you risk, comedy meets Carnegie, and then it's, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? I don't want to go anymore. That's really all in that situation. Like I remember the how do you get to Carnegie Hall because of Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Last Action Hero. There was a character in there called John Practice. It was just a how do you get to Carnegie Hall, that stupid little line just stuck in my head, and so that there's that phrase that I'm sure connects back to Carnegie Hall, and I've never researched it any further, but I know it's an actual phrase that is from America. I've no idea who it connects to or what it's going on about, but it's always connecting to Arnold Schwarzenegger for me. You know. Well, that was from the TED talk where that bit where I spoke about without the practice of in-person conflict. In my head, the mnemonic point on the journey was Arnie. That's how the red shirt, the brown leather jacket, and the cowboy boots from Last Action Hero. It's a great film, that is. Just as a side note, it's a great film. It's ridiculous, but it's a great film. How can you have a character in there called Louis the Fart? Amazing. Saith, didn't you say you had two questions? Was that one question or with two parts, or have you covered them both? I've been talking for
Yeah,
a
I was
while.
waiting for that.
Sorry.
Let me see. Do I was going to ask about the violence part. Like we covered it in polar sessions, like evasive behavior and sudden withdrawal. Like, is there anything, I don't know, I can be careful about on a ship?
So, the is the ship when you're working on it in motion, or is it docked?
Both. Both.
Both. Okay, that's fair. So be wary of alcohol points. Right, learn the rules of substances because every cruise ship will have them. Some
Mhm.
cruise ships will let you take whatever you want wherever you want. Some cruise ships it's only contained towards the canteen or only contained towards your chambers or whatever it is. Whatever the rules are for that particular ship, learn them. Um, because the main points that you want to be aware of are people injuring themselves, and the most statistically common way for that to happen on a cruise ship is alcohol. Right? Is alcohol. The Because that's going to be the fuel for hostility. It's going to be the
Mm.
fuel for interactions of that nature. Secondly, what you can look at is the activity points, as in what is there to do, as in so is it just swimming and a restaurant, or do they have any shows? Do they have any games? Is there a gym, a cinema, whatever it is? What is there to do?
Mm.
Because from that you can use the situational framework from the locations part of Polar to profile possible actions in that situation. So if you know, I'm just painting an example here, by the way. If you know that alcohol is only allowed in the canteen, so my first thought is, okay, fine, great rule. Do they employ staff to specifically watch for that? Because if they don't, the rule doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
right? It's like the pirates rules. They're more like guidelines. Secondly, I would then be thinking like, how far away is the restaurant from the cinema, say, for example, and then I can profile the likelihood of induced activity in the cinema based on the journey that it would take to get there. Right, the amount of staff you'll understand that walk through the specific areas to interact with humans along that way will reduce or increase the likelihood depending upon how many there actually are to be able to do that. But
Hmm.
it's going to revolve around the situational framework, because if you put um, uh, you know some kind of controversial movie on, I mean, they wouldn't do it on a cruise ship, but like a recent film that came out in the UK, I don't know if it came out everywhere, Marching Powder. It's a romantic comedy, but it's set amongst football hooliganism, right? So if you get a bunch of guys going to watch Marching Powder, but they're sober, they might be a bit loud, they might be a bit leery, but that's about it. If you get a bunch of drunken guys going to watch Marching Powder, I'm not saying that it will definitely mean that something will happen, but there's more of an increased possibility for that situation to spiral in those moments. So those are the connected points. You think of what a holiday is, like you th- you think of all of the social restrictions of a day-to-day situation. The second people go into holiday mode, they're gone. They're drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning if they're allowed.
Hmm.
They're having cake for breakfast. They're wearing shorts and no top at the local store. All of the social rules go out of the window. So you put all of that onto a ship. There is the possibility for danger in those
Yeah.
situations. If you have the opportunity, I don't know what kind of opportunities you'll have as part of the role, but if you have the opportunity, I look into the location of CCTV and the like, you know. But the all that is to say, that would be like maybe 1 or 2%, maybe less. Of the people on there, because most people that go on holiday, regardless of those social rules going out the window, just want to have a good time.
Hmm.
It's the metronome again. They've been working so hard for so long to afford the holiday that when it comes, they just want to have fun. That's it. And most people, depending upon the culture that they were raised in, most people will want to adhere to the rules of whatever place they're in so that they can have fun. You know. So that's what I mean about the situational framework. These are
Hmm.
the different things that you want to be paying attention to. Does
Makes
that help?
sense. Yeah. 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 Thank you.
You are very welcome, good sir. Um, So yeah, and if you get the opportunity, take some pictures or some videos so I can use it in the geolocation tests that
Sure.
I'm building. Um, and yeah, we can go from there.
Okay.
Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
So my plan is to get the most of the experience, like remember most of the things because I'm
Perfect.
gonna, how to say, I'm gonna talk with people from different cultures.
Yeah,
So my plan is like, let's say I'm gonna talk for 30 minutes, then I'm gonna take a toilet break, like I'm gonna go
yeah.
to restroom, and then I'm gonna, store the
Reflect.
information to the memory
Mm,
palace.
yeah.
Like, do you think there's a better approach for you, or is that cool?
Non, non, non. Tu peux pratiquer en français aussi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but no, no, no. Because 12 hours is a lot of information.
Hmm.
It is a lot of information. Even if you were just dealing with 10 people over 12 hours, it's a lot of information, right? So give yourself the break, you know? Even if it is that you want a moment to go, you know what, I'm just going to eat my dinner or I'm just going to go and have a coffee, take it. right? Regardless of how fit and active you are, you wouldn't work out for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And this is a mental workout. You know, if you're doing all of these things, it's a mental workout. So give yourself the break. Reflect during, totally, 100% storage. Go over what you've done. Do that, but also
Hmm.
take opportunities and moments that are just for you. No work, right? Just because I do this for 12, 15, 18 hours a day sometimes doesn't mean I do it every day, and doesn't mean that I didn't work for a long time with those rests to be able to do it, right? Because yes, it might sound cool to be able to do that, but realistically, it's not required that often for that long. So take your rest points. The thing that shouldn't go understated is you want to be effective, and your
Hmm.
effectiveness is only in relation to how sharp you are. And if you're too tired, right, because you've been cognitively working out all day, you're not going to be as sharp. So prioritize accordingly.
Hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what you have
thanks.
to do on the super recognizer gigs as well, because you're dealing with like 30, 40,000 people, and I don't give a shit who you are. That's all. However good you are, that's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
you need the rest points. You are only one human person, regardless of how effective you can be. So give yourself the rest points.
This is
Um,
a super, well, I guess it's not that niche, but it reminds me of the first James Bond book, where he talks about like needing to go back to his room because he has been on duty doing all of the gambling stuff that he was supposed to be doing while also spying on everyone for long enough that he's like, I'm starting to get not very sharp right now. I'm gonna I'm gonna have to take a step back. Even James Bond had to take step back and take a break.
that's it. That's it. Let's learn from these guys. Let's do it. Right, gentlemen. Don't forget a no RLS tomorrow.
Hmm.
But if you guys are moving towards teaching, it's an if. Obviously, it's if you want to do it. If you don't want to, don't. Right? But if you are, use the time to start thinking about what it is that you would do. Right? Because it's 2 months of preparation that you can do for only 20 minutes because we can have multiple people going in the same session then. All right?
Yeah.
See you later, my dudes.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.